welcome back to Helen's Homework Podcast. This is episode 4. Today we'll be covering the sacraments. This is actually my last homework podcast for the Summa Theologica, so that's actually kind of really sad. Whether marriage is of natural law. You can probably guess this is a yes and no answer. As St. Thomas would say, it's a twofold answer. Humans don't necessarily need to be married. So it's not of the natural law in the way that plants need water to survive, right? That's a natural law. If they don't, they're dead. But it is natural in the way that humans have the urge to create a family and to raise the children, right? And this involves a man and a woman being there throughout the child's life, which would involve marriage. And it's also naturally in the way that humans want to live in a society. And when a man and a woman get married, they kind of create like a mini society in which they can help and support each other. Especially at the things they're not good at. Like, for instance, I'm not very good at making lots of money, so I'd probably try to find a man who had a supportive job. And maybe I could help him with cooking or something. Or maybe it goes reverse for some people. Maybe some women have really good paying jobs and they're not good at cooking, right? So St. Thomas would say that yes and no, marriage is of the natural law. Whether it is against the natural law to have several wives. Yes, it's very much so against the law to have several husbands or wives. Man has reasoning, right? That's naturally part of his nature. He has reasoning. And so he can understand the end of marriage is for the good of the offspring and to live in a community with his wife. By having another wife, he destroys the bringing up of his children. Kids need two parents, a mom and a dad, full-time, not just a part-time dad who travels between his wives or something crazy messed up like that. You also might be wondering, but in nature, horses can have multiple partners, and so do squirrels, so why shouldn't naturally humans have a million partners? My answer to that one is no, that doesn't mean humans should naturally have a million partners. Besides humans, animals do not have souls, so all they can comprehend about reproduction is the urge to do it. Furthermore, God created the gift of producing human life special. We're not just a body produced, but also a soul is given at the moment of conception by God. So it makes sense that the natural law for humans is not only to create the body part of the human, but also to nurture the little soul in a family community. So, it is against the natural law to have several wives or husbands. Whether it is ever lawful to confess to another than a priest. St. Thomas Aquinas, or I guess not St. Thomas Aquinas, his friend's going to say yes and no. Once again, there's going to be a lot of those today. You can confess to another. I mean, you could tell them all the bad things you've ever done. I mean, it's not like bad to do that, but they can't give you absolution or anything. They can try to comfort you, but it won't really do anything. The only people you can confess to are a priest or pope or a bishop or, somebody who's a priest. Whether the Eucharist is necessary for salvation. Can you guess it? Twofold answer. Again. Overall, yes. The Eucharist guides us to Jesus and is kind of like a taste test of our final end. That being said, the desire to receive Jesus in the Eucharist can also help us get to salvation if you die before your first communion or something. So the Eucharist is necessary for salvation because it is the end of our spiritual journey. Whether laymen can baptize. Under normal circumstances, priests should be the only ones baptizing. But because baptism is so necessary for our salvation, the Church permits lay people to baptize under the circumstances of near-death situations. For instance, if a man were in a car crash and about to die, a lay nurse or doctor or somebody there with him could baptize him, and that would be perfectly okay because he needs it that much to get into heaven. So, yes, a layman can baptize, but usually you should not unless it's a dire circumstance. Well, this is the end of my homework podcast. Bye, everybody. I hope you enjoyed my random rants on the Summa Theologica.